up in my mind as you were saying that is, I know, at least for me and probably a lot of the people here, is that, what I want to do with my life is build connections. I love bringing people together and I love building memories. And so I think that's kind of a challenging thing right now, especially as we switch into this more virtual world. These sorts of conversations are amazing, but I would so much rather be sitting in person with you right now.
Yes.
And so, it's hard to think about, if events were to go away, which I don't think will happen.
Right.
I can't think that,
Right.
but it's kind of like, what would I do next? What would help me bring people together? And how do I sort of, I don't know, what tips do you have to sort of then think about your goal and what sort of career would get you there?
I actually am going to challenge you a little bit here, Jackie, because I think you're doing such a great job having this conversation with yourself. And I want you out here listening to challenge yourself, because if your goal is to bring people together, there's a secondary, deeper goal beyond that. So what is you hoping to happen by having them be together? Like, what is that? So is that about, is it about the handshake across people who don't normally speak to each other? Is it about the ability to connect in a way that is beyond racial, financial, blah, 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 blah. Like, what is that, right? So that we can start to kind of see what is our mission behind the mission is kind of what that might look like, right? Because I think there's the physical manifestation of our mission, and then there's our purpose, or like what we believe is so important. And the trick of this is a very easy conversation to discount. It's a very easy conversation to go like, whatever, I do event, like I do events, what are you talking about? It's very easy to step out of this conversation. And honestly, there are days when I might skip out of this conversation, or I might not have the stamina to look at myself in this way. But I think that, but I know that this work, this certainty in knowing your purpose and knowing why you do this in the first place will hold you much longer than, this is daring to say, but even longer than a paycheck does. Now, I say that in a moment when I realize you have to know the survival of the, what's the pyramid that they use? That is like the
hierarchy of needs.
Yes. Like we're also facing that, right? But when we're fighting between two mindsets is when anxiety comes, which is, if you're starting to have that sneaky, insidious question of, should I even do this anymore? Do events matter? Like any of those tiny voices that become very vicious and can inspire you to stay small, those voices this is where you have the fortitude to know that those are not what's the truth of who you are. If that helps some, Jackie, I hope that that's helping some of what I'm trying to say here.
It does. It definitely does. And, thinking about the hierarchy of needs, I mean, everybody, of course, is in a different place, but so many people from our industry have been furloughed, have been laid off, are, independent contractors. We have DJs that I know are on the webinar who have no one to play to. So many of us are focused on getting a paycheck, filing for unemployment, making sure we maintain our benefits. How do you get groceries safely? Like, we're kind of all at this very bottom level. And yet, we need some sort of outlet. And I guess kind of, do you have tips for maybe how to get past that and still enable yourself to be creative and to think like that and take other things in? Like, I'm finding it hard to even read a book right now, and to focus on that.
So what you just said is something that's so important. Is right now it is very hard to not be distracted or to be present. It's really hard to be present because we are so naturally focused on what is this going to look like next? When is it going to be okay? When are going to return to normal? So much of our brain space and our heart space is held by what's next in the future. So staying present to reading a book, like you said, is really freaking tough right now. And I want to be very honest that that's normal. So one of the things I want to answer your question, and I want to also normalize that being emotional during this time is normal. Trying to not be emotional does not mean you're doing this pandemic well. By navigating it in the same way that you might think about navigating through grief, which is, I call grief your wedding day emotion, which is like, you get to be a bridezilla. You get to feel however you want when you're having grief. Like, you're allowed to have full permission to feel however you want. And so for me, I'm just continually having a conversation that it's okay that you suddenly started crying when you opened the refrigerator. It's okay that today was a good day. It's okay that you're really feeling helpless about your mother in Ohio who you can't get groceries for right now, and that you're doing the best you can, right? So there's the issue, and then there's the way we relate to the issue. And if we are judging ourselves for the way that we are relating to the issue, that's just doubling down on your ability to move through this with thoughtfulness and care of yourself, right? So I want to give you a little bit of some things that I've heard some help some clients, Jackie. And also I want to just, I should have started with this, but thank goodness for all of you being here today and choosing to be here, because I know you had a lot of choices of where to be today. There's a lot of webinars and things out in the world right now. And so I just appreciate you being here. And no matter what, I would love for you to leave today with some kind of takeaway that, if it's only that you feel good while we're together today, that's great. But also if there's some kind of takeaway that you can use in the next hour, 3 hours, 3 days, then our job is done here. And so press us in the Q&A and the questions to get further if you need help with it. So one of the things that I have found helps everyone right now, and this is going to sound very Buddhist and mindfulness, is do one thing at a time. And this is much harder than you think. I challenge you to wash your hair or brush your teeth and only wash your hair and only brush your teeth. Inside your mind, you're somewhere else altogether. And the reason why I say wash your hair and brush your teeth and make your bed, those are the 3 that I think are good, is because it can start your day with a very simple, non-pressure to try to get it right, kind of meditation. Because I'm just going to make my bed. I'm just making my bed right now. And then what that also does is it trains your brain to know that tasks are accomplishable in a short amount of time, and it can start your whole day on a beautiful path where you say, it's the difference between making your bed, like no thought to it, and thinking about the phone call you're going to make and calling your mom and and just I'm making the bed. I like when the pillow's here, and literally walking through that. I remember there was this marketing research about Febreze, and when they first put Febreze out into the world, and they videotaped women in their homes. It was all housewives because the world is sexist, but we're working on it, right? So and they videotaped women in their homes, and they were watching how women clean the home, it was specifically only women. And so they always turned back after they cleaned the room and looked at it. And Febreze wanted to celebrate that moment of completing something. And so I'm not saying everyone go out and buy a bottle of Febreze unless that floats your boat, but that moment of I made the bed, that we have that a little bit of pride in, I did one thing at a time. So that's one thing. The other is, please be on vacation if you're going to be on vacation. So if you're deciding tonight I am not going to have my computer over here. I'm going to watch. Today is a full on couch potato watching TV night, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be here for TV, and I'm chilling out. To not have the secondary voice inside of you that's saying, you should be doing this, you should be working on this, what about this? To not have the you're doing the wrong thing voice in your head, to reaffirm that what you are doing is enough and good enough in that idea of doing one thing at a time, I think is a huge gift. And I think it's so vitally necessary. And I will tell you, I'm not good at this. I'm not coming over here some guru who does this all the time, right? I will literally be sitting over there with my boyfriend watching TV and have the computer, and I will have to talk to myself like a crazy person, say, Brian, you're not really being who you want to be right now. You're not really watching TV with your man. You're not really on your computer. You're not going to get so much done on your computer that's going to give you this great feeling. I have to keep talking to myself. How about you just put the computer down? Can you do that for an hour? And usually the bargaining tool that I use with myself is something around time. Can you do it for the next hour? And usually that hour turns to 2 hours, right? So what I'm wanting us to do is give ourselves permission to do one thing at a time and to be there for it. I don't believe in multitasking. I think multitasking is a lie. It means you're doing a lot of things really quickly and nothing well. Now, the only difference to that is the really good feeling when your dishwasher is running, or your washer and dryer running. You can feel 2 things are happening at once right now, but you aren't doing the washing. It's just right?
If only I had a dishwasher.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think this is really helpful for the group. I'm seeing some comments rolling in from Tui, saying that we are always multitasking. And that is so true as event professionals. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that's been so hard for people is, especially those of us that are furloughed, or even those of us that are lucky enough to have our jobs, there's not a lot to do when you don't have events to plan, but yet we feel like we need to always be working. So I'm in the same place. I'll sit down to watch TV, but I feel guilty. It's I should be, trying to learn a new skill, or I should be, fixing up my whole house, or getting this part clean. And I think
fixing up my whole house. That, I'm yes.
Right? I have a long to-do list of everything I want to do.
C.S. Lewis, I think it's C.S. Lewis who said, I had no idea that grief would feel so much like fear. And we run from fear, and we want to run from grief. And the way that we run from grief is to be productive a lot of times. Productivity becomes our shield from that. I want to kind of relate this to a metaphor of when we get sick, and our body says, when you get sick, you move a little slower, it slows you down. Your body is saying, slow the heck down, because I need to get you better. So I'm going to slow you down for a while. It's the same thing with depression. Depression or sadness can be a way to say, slow down. That thing that just happened, that breakup you just had, the pandemic that's going on, I need you to slow the heck down so that you don't miss the lesson I need you to learn from this. And it would be so tempting to keep yourself busy and not take a chance to check in. Because I think all of us here are wrestling with, who am I in this moment? And who am I going to be afterwards? And we fight that question because it is a hard one, right? So that doesn't mean walk down the street cranky and whatever it is, right? But it does mean that you have to give some time in this slow period to confront it or to be willing to be with it. And I'll give you, someone the other day, we came up with a great tool that worked for a lot of people. I'm just gonna share this with you guys. There's this great website. It's called, write this down if you care. It's called 750 Words. And it's a website, and it literally lets you write 750 words is about 3 pages of a piece of paper. And it lets you write 750 words, and it saves it. And I think it emails it to you, and it analyzes your words for like what were emotional words and what were intellectual words and da-da-da. And I'm less worried about the analysis. But if you said, I'm going to write 750 words answering the question, what does this moment mean to me? Or what is the story I'm telling myself about this moment? You will be a changed person by the end of that. The difficulty with thinking about this is when a thought is in your head, I believe the only people duking it out are the other thoughts in your head. When you make it manifest on the planet that we happen to be on right now, it attracts some other thoughts to it. And it also gives it up to, I don't have to have all the answers. Something else out there can help me get through this. And that, to me, this is the thing I'd be most likely to skip. Yeah, screw that. That was a nice idea that guy said to us on that thing, whatever. We'll see. It sounded cool at the time. I'm not going to do it. This is the thing I would most likely skip because I can spiritually bypass as fast as everybody else. And then I miss out. And then 2 weeks later, I'll sprain my ankle because I didn't get the lesson the first time. So I encourage you to kind of think about how you can use that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that kind of leads me to my next question of what if we don't want to use this time really for anything? I think some people are out there really trying to, are becoming like woodworkers overnight, or you're seeing like instant farmers, growing their victory gardens. And I think that works really well for a lot of people. But what if you just want to use this time as a break? Especially it's a rare gift for the folks in the event industry to have a quiet May.
Yeah.
So is that okay too? Is that giving up?
Jackie,
can you collectively tell us to feel better?
Jackie, I feel like you know the answer to this question, but I think it's good if we say it out. It is okay to chill out. It is okay to be still. The thing about this is, I think you have to reaffirm that for yourself, or it is not. If you're doing the fast food Diet Coke version of being still, where you're actually not still and you're judging yourself for it the whole time, you will not get the benefits of being still. So if you're going to say, you know what? And I have clients who say things like, hey, you know what? Wednesday's my vacation day. I'm not doing any work. What that means, I want to make this really clear to you guys. Vacation day is I am fully clocked out. And to me, that is, I will think about work because I'm a human being and I love my work and I care about it, but I'm not going to be a harbor for thoughts about it. So the work thought may come in and I'll go, great, I will pick you up tomorrow. Thank you. If it's an important work thought, I might write it down on a piece of paper and put it on my desk. Great, I'll pick you up tomorrow. Today's not a day for entertaining you because I'm on vacation. So the difficulty is, I think that we have to live in the, it's normal to care and think about your work, especially in the world that we live in where we expect you to be on your phone and do emails on Saturdays and So it's normal that those rhythms affect us, but to be able to say, oh no, today's a full off day, or even like the next 2 hours are full, I'm out hours. I'm clocked out during the next 2 hours. One of the things that I used to do when the world was normal was, hey, when's your airplane mode hours for the week? You have in 3 airplane mode? When are your 3 airplane mode hours for the week? And just airplane mode for 3 hours. The world will be fine. I mean, this is unless someone who I hope not is on death's door or whatever, but unless you have somebody to be that present for, 3 hours to yourself, what a gift is that? And who will you be after those 3 hours is so much better than who you were before. Let's be real, right?
I know the number one thing that's really helped me stay sane is going on long walks and not taking my phone. And it's such a small thing to do, but it's like I'm used to having that with me at all times. I can be contacted. And so it's like at least 3 times a week, I go out on like a 2-3 hour walk with my dog and just like pretend everything else doesn't exist.
Oh, I love that, Jackie. I love that. Yeah. Nice. I have a half bargain that I do with my boyfriend, which is one of us will take our phone. The other one will not, and it will be only making phone calls to family. So we'll call both moms or whatever, and there's nothing else. Or we'll do on the way out, we have phones, and on the way back, we pretend that we don't have our phones with us. So it's like halfway there. So I think that's a great tool to use. Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, I feel like I've dominated so much of the conversation that I want to give people a chance for questions. Does anyone have any questions for us yet? As I said, you can use the raise hand feature. You can send them off on the chat.
And if you want to raise a hand feature, you guys just click the participants, and then you'll see there's a raise hand. And I see that Joy has her hand up. Can I unmute Joy? I'm going to unmute you, Joy. Okay, here we go. What is your question, Joy?
I didn't want to be unmuted. I was just asking, what if you constantly feel like you just need downtime? Because I get in trouble where I'm just like, well, tomorrow I'll be productive.
Yeah. So I want to ask some questions here, Joy, because I think you're probably not the only person challenged by this. And what's so crazy is challenged by the idea that it's not okay to have downtime. So that's, we hear it out loud. We're like, that's crazy. Why can't you just have downtime? So Joy, can you tell me a little bit about what that looks like for you?
Well, for an example, I slept until 11:30 today by accident.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not on video, because I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And I have a 2-page list of things to do, and yet I just don't want to do them.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, oh, I should be looking for work. Oh, I should be looking to where I want to move. Oh, I should be doing this, doing that. And it's just, I just feel blocked.
Yeah. What's important about you being productive right now?
I need the money to be coming in. The stimulus and all that other crap hasn't arrived. And so I have to have an income. Yeah. And that's what's stressing me out.
And when you have an income, what's possible for you?
I could go on a trip or get out of the house, or, just be able to afford normal life.
And when you have a normal life, what does it feel like for you?
Happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you missing happy right now?
Very much.
Yeah. You're the perfect person to ask this question, aren't you? Yeah. So I want to just acknowledge your bravery in asking and your willingness to engage in this conversation with me. And is it okay if I go a little further?
Yeah, but I'm just really emotional, and it was just nice to have you say that that's okay too, because I just feel like it's been blocked up inside of me.
Yeah. So Joy, and you cut me off if ever you need to stop me, but I'm getting a real sense that you're grieving.
Yeah.
Grief looks like you never know what grief is going to look like. It's that unnameable feeling. And what I'm hearing from you is the way that I think about grief, this might help you, it might not, so we can throw it out if you don't like it, is if you could imagine a cute little, do you like cats or dogs better?
Dogs.
Okay, so a cute little puppy comes to your front door. And if you feed the puppy, it'll stick around for a long time. But you're definitely not going to kick the puppy because it's a cute little puppy.
Yeah.
So grief often feels to me like that, where you're going to say hello to this puppy and you can invite it in to hang out for a while if you want to. But if you feed it, just know that it's going to stick around a little bit longer. One of the ways I think to engage with that is when it comes to grief, stay close and do nothing is the best quote I've ever heard, which is stay close to the emotion, but you don't need to do anything with the emotion.
I think that I never realized that I am grieving.
Yeah.
And now that I do, it's like there's a little bit more freedom in it.
Oh, Joy.
Yeah, Joy.
You're doing really good work over there right now. Yeah, Jackie.
I just want to say thank you too for sharing. I think we all feel like this, or so many of us do. You're really just kind of reiterating that. I'm seeing it in the chat, and it's brave to speak up and say that. And it's not up to me, but I also just want to give you permission to just be. I think this is such an unprecedented time. I think back to like the 2008, 2009 recession. Other times our industry has kind of gone through ups and downs, and this is just so unique in that it's the entire world right now, and it's all industries, and there's just, there's just nothing we can do at the moment to bring events back to, I don't know. I think some of it is about accepting that helplessness and accepting your inability to change anything right now, and just kind of being. At least I know that's what I'm kind of trying to do.
That's so good, Jackie, to give her that modeling. And Joy, I would say, I think we need to throw out that to-do list. Can we do that?
I'm afraid.
I get it. I actually am going to challenge you a little here. I like that laugh. I'm going to challenge you a little here. I actually want you to burn that to-do list, and I want you to find a way to do it.
Wow.
I want you to burn it. You can do it, and you figure out how to do it so you don't burn the house down, but I want you to burn it or rip it up really loudly. I promise you, anything that's important on it will come back to you. I promise you. I want you to let yourself off the hook. I would love for you to have a mantra in your head. Can I just let myself off the hook a little bit more here? Or another way to say it is, what is radically, no, that's not the phrase I want to use. The phrase I think is coming to me is, can you hold this a little more lightly when something comes up for you? Can I hold this more lightly? That's a mantra that I would run through my mind when I'm going through something hard. Can I hold this a little more lightly? I'm holding it really on my shoulders. So Joy, will you commit to us that you'll burn that to-do list?
Yeah.
There we go. Can we get some applause for Joy, you guys? Yeah.
Woo.
Great. Burn that to-do list. Don't burn the house down. Okay?
I just ripped it up.
Okay, yay, good.
Yes.
Because here's why, Joy, that to-do list was becoming a whip to self-flagellate yourself in the middle of grieving. And it's not going to be the solution to grief at all.
Well, and I've had to grieve the loss of my uncle, my mom, and just a lot of, but I never realized that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's unnameable. It's like when you have a tummy ache, and you're like, I don't know why I have a tummy ache. I have a tummy ache. I can't figure it out. This is how grief shows up for you.
Because normally I'm so organized and I accomplish tons, and I'm like this powerhouse, and right now I just don't feel like doing anything.
Right. So give yourself full permission to do that. And I would say, can we have some radical self-care too?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
For sure. You feel complete for now?
Yeah, I really, really needed this.
Thank you for being, Joy, we needed you to be here. So I'm glad that you started us off this way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's pretty brave of Joy. I'm really grateful for that. Who else has a question or wants to raise their hand in the chat? Jackie, did you have something you wanted to say? I don't want to monopolize the microphone.
Oh, no. Go ahead. If anybody has something they want to say, please raise your hand or we'll unmute you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure someone's brave enough to speak up.
Right. Or if you have something you haven't figured out in terms of a question, you guys, I also want to be here for that. So if you have like, I'm thinking about this, or is there this, that we can help to sort you through that question. If you just click on participants, you'll be able to raise your hand and we'll be able to engage with that. Emmeline Limousine. All right. I'm going to unmute you. Hi.
Hi. Hello.
What's your question?
From Berlin.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say that I really feel all of you that's especially in the US what you're going through, because it's even more difficult to get financial support in this tough time. But really always remember that we are the one responsible for our life, that we have the choice every day to decide how do we want to feel. Just how do we want to feel? You know, how do you want to start today? And I just want to share that even if you wake up and you feel like shit, you are responsible how you can shift that, you know? And I have a few tips that I would love to share with you, like meditation is a great way. Start with meditation, and yoga is great too, and writing, journaling, taking cold shower, try a cold shower every day. That was great, really.
Great.
You know?
Yes.
Love it.
Great. Thank you. This is super helpful.
There's also, I think going along with that too, if you wake up and you're in a shitty mood, I think it's okay to choose that too sometimes. You know, you don't want to choose that every day, obviously, but I woke up, I guess it was yesterday, and it was raining, or the day before, and it was raining, and I was just like, you know what, this is perfect. I'm like, I'm not in a great mood anyways. I don't really feel like doing anything. I'm just going to kind of embrace this need to sort of cocoon myself with a couple of podcasts and just sort of tune out the world. And I think it's okay to make those choices too. I think there are no shoulds right now. And I think that's something that we should really remind ourselves.
Yes.
We need some grieving time, absolutely, and it's such a perfect time to sit with ourselves with what we have been putting under the carpet also. So all this moment of big sadness will come up, but if you don't want to feel like that all the week, you can still decide to
Right. Yeah. I think
you know.
Yeah. Thank you, Amelita. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that. That's really helpful. I think that also one of the things that I think we're finding is there's no right way to do this. I want to make sure everyone hears this again and again and again. You saw kind of differing Jackie's, like, I needed a cocoon on that day. I needed to be with myself. And Emelina's saying, it's also okay to choose how you want to feel. Both are true. And the part that I'm wanting to, it's not the issue that's the issue. It's the way you relate to yourself about the issue. If Jackie had made herself wrong for wanting to cocoon for the day, that is a very different conversation. It's saying, I feel like I want to cocoon for the day and I just want to be with myself. It's the secondary judgment that I want to make sure we kind of step ourselves away from. That is the more painful, cruel voice inside that kind of can drive a day to not be what it wants to be. I love what Amelina said though, because there's like an archway right here when I walk into my office, and I will stand there every day. It's like, how do I want to feel today? And that will decide kind of my actions for the day. It doesn't mean I feel that way all day, but I might say, today I want to feel like a great leader. And so suddenly I have an editing tool on what tasks I might do or how I'm relating to people, because, that doesn't feel like a great leader. I'm not going to do that today. Or that task does not belong on a great leader's desk. That's going to wait till tomorrow. So it can help to kind of navigate what you're saying yes and saying no to in some way, if that helps. You guys, we want to hear from you. Anybody else have something that they wanted to ask or is challenged by, or want us to go further? We're happy to hear from you today. I wanted to speak about meditation for a second, because I think a lot of people can hear meditation is good for you, and then they also can hear like, yeah, but it's so hard. I heard a really great definition of meditation recently, which is just sit and breathe for 5 minutes. And that's it. Just sit and breathe. So we let go of the word meditation can really give us some freedom. We're like, I'm going to sit and breathe. I'm just going to listen to my breathing and literally count your breath the whole time. Or don't count your breath, just sit quietly. Another friend said, yeah, my meditation is I light a candle and I set a timer for 3 minutes. And I just look at the candle for 3 minutes, and it has the same effects for me. So giving you kind of the permission to, if you're scared by the word meditation, to let it be something around stillness or silence or breath. It can be a little easier. Jasmine has a question. Jasmine, what's your question? Oh, you disappeared. Jasmine, what happened to you? Did I make you disappear? Hope not. Here, let me try. Jasmine, I'm going to unmute you. What's your question?
So Joy, if you need any puppy pictures, you can email me or text me. I have a puppy.
Oh, that's what we needed today.
So cute.
Plenty of puppy pictures for you. If you need some little bit of puppy love or puppy therapy, let me know. My question though for you is, I completely understand there's some days where I just want to disconnect. I want to talk to anybody. I just need to be alone and deal with the pandemic. But I am thankfully still employed, and I do feel that pressure that I need to be working on my computer for 8 hours or trying to find something to do. And I'm trying to step back and say, okay, it's okay for me to work for 4 hours. But then I get the pressure from my executives too, is, oh, are you coming up with creative ideas to do digital events, or how are you selling, or what are you doing to think of how to reach out to your clients once this pandemic is over? So we are getting a lot of pressure to create digital activations and drive-in events and set up protocols for that. But it's really hard to set up protocols where you don't know what the guidelines will be from the CDC. So I'm just kind of in like hypothetical situation right now, and it's really hard to plan that, I guess. And it's frustrating, and it's I feel like my process went updates every week, and I don't have anything to do, so I'm trying to come up with ideas. Party in a box, gala in a box, virtual tours. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in our industry, before Brian chimes in, just to kind of give him even more of like background on us, you know, we're people that always are having to be experts and problem solvers. You know, we have to know how to handle active shooters if that were to happen. We have to know how to do a mass evacuation. We have to understand food handling guidelines. We have to understand crowd control, you know, as well as being creative and coming up with incredible decor and entertainment. And this is a situation where for once we're not the experts and we're not even sure how to go about becoming the experts. It's like, you know, I'm not an epidemiologist, you know, I don't know how we have events and everybody is in the same space and can be there safely. I'm not quite sure how to go about trying to piece that back together. And then sometimes on top of that, it even just feels a little hopeless in that it's like, okay, well, I can think through all the ways to have an event and keep people safe, but then kind of what's the point of having an event if everybody's masked and 6 feet apart and can't eat or drink and can't, you know, so I guess I'm just trying to echo what Jasmine said is in that, you know, we're people who are used to problem solving and we don't know how to problem solve. And I guess if you have advice to that, Brian, I think it could be really helpful.
You know, I have some advice and I don't know if it'll be helpful, so I'm going to try it. I might say something different next week, so here we go. Here's what I think the advice is. I want everyone to close your eyes who's on this call right now, and I want you to think about when you were doing an event or you were at an event, either you were a guest or you were the planner. Just give you a second to close your eyes and think of a moment where you knew it was like perfect. It was going exactly as you wanted it to go. You knew the people there were enjoying themselves. There was something special. Just think of that moment. I'll give you a second. And I want you to name, and this will be difficult, so really dig deep in your belly and in your stomach and in your heart. What is the feeling that you had in that moment? And what is the feeling you imagine the people in the room were having in that moment? And use your vocabulary. I don't want to hear happy and I don't want to hear pride. You are smarter than that. I want to hear more than happy or pride. Were they feeling connected, engaged, present, permission? Were they feeling loved? Go deeper on this. I know our emotional vocabulary can seem small, but I know you've got more than that. You have all 1,000 different words for the word pink, so I'm sure you've got more words for emotions. But think about that for a second. Okay. And I want to just have you pop into the chat a few of the words. I see some already in the chat. Let me hear some more words. Just pop them in the chat, you guys. And Jackie, what was yours? Satisfied, overjoyed, accomplished? Great. And what was the feeling you imagined they were experiencing? I want to get into that one. Some of those may be that, but what do you think they felt? Wonder, beautiful. Jackie, you're on private with me, so I keep on seeing them and they don't. So
Oh, whoops. Should share those with everybody.
Great, great, great. So here's what I want you to think about, right? Included, what a great feeling. Belonging is what that word brings up for me, Jacqueline, when you say the word included. I feel belonging, right? So what now? Pretend nothing changed. Pretend this is what it was going to look like forever, for just a second. I know that's terrifying, but just pretend for a second. How can you, who are so smart at this, create this feeling with the limitations / opportunities that we have right now? And just think what comes to mind for a second. Does it look like, oh, I've had this idea about, oh, everyone should be sent in the mail something, or we have all the same playlist, or do they have, like, what do they wear wristbands that change color at the same, like, I don't know, you guys know more tricks about that stuff than I do, but just starting to think about how can I create that feeling in the environment that we're in right now? And the purpose with which you'll walk towards creating that feeling will give you idea after idea after idea after idea. So literally, Jasmine, I want to just, you're unmuted still. Can you tell us, like, what's one of the feelings you want the people to have at one of the events you're being asked to create right now? Can you imagine one of the feelings you want them to have?
Well, I work at a museum, so Jackie as well. One of the things that we're trying to focus on is education and knowledge. So you want somebody to be interactive, engaging, and learn something through our event.
So great, Jasmine, I'm gonna push on you. So when I'm interacting, engaging, blah, blah, what do I feel?
Excited, open-minded, creative.
Great, Jasmine, you're so good at this. Good, okay. So you feel excited, open-minded, creative. So how can I evoke that feeling in someone is different than how can I make them be engaged and da-da-da. Do you see the difference in that relationship with that thing? So open-minded, maybe, okay, great. So the beginning of this thing we're doing online is gonna start off with some random weird Rorschach test where I'm going to say, what do you see when you see this? What do you see when you see this? So that puts you in that museum mindset where you're allowed to own your own opinions, where whatever I see, I get to say, that's what I believe in. I believe it to be this. You believe that doesn't matter because that's what I think. Does that make sense to you as I say that?
Yeah.
Great. You understand what everyone knows what a Rorschach test is, right? Those weird blot paintings where you look at them and you're like, I see two pigs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right? So if you can use those words as how do I create that feeling in someone is very different than I keep seeing what Jasmine. Okay,
That's not my puppy.
I was like, Jasmine, your dog has a voice. Okay.
That was my puppy.
So Jasmine, so if you can think about you want to create those feelings, it'll be a very different conversation with yourself instead of being stuck in the limiting beliefs of how do I make this look the way I used to make it look?
Mm-hmm.
What are the feelings I want them to have? Not the outcome, not the action. It's a very different question because what you did really beautifully, I want to just kind of illuminate this framework that we did just now, you guys, is what are the feeling you, how do you want them to feel is different than how do you want them to, like, you said engage, you said those other words, right?
Mm-hmm.
So notice our first thought will be that, especially you guys who are planners, you're going to go to that part first. So then challenge yourself to go, what is the feeling when they are doing that? When they're engaged with the things in our museum, what does it make them feel? Oh, it makes them feel independent because they're allowed to have whatever opinion they want about it. It makes them feel kind of smart because they're learning something. What is it? How can I make someone feel smart? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
It should hopefully lift off a little bit of the, what would be limiting beliefs
Mm-hmm.
around how to create something. And the truth is, you guys, you have the power to be the innovators who bring out of this something completely incredible that no one's ever imagined. And the empowering, I want to empower you in that piece of it. It's not going to come from trying to create the environment we used to create before. It's going to come from, how do I think about this totally differently? How do I make someone feel that they're in an event when they're in their living room in Pasadena? How do I make that different? How to give them that feeling of that? And the person who taps into that is going to be, I think some magic is going to come there. And I'm not saying that one person can do that. I'm saying you're going to find your place again in that, because that adheres to what we said at the beginning, which is what is your purpose as a coach, or as a coach? That's me. What's your purpose as the planner? Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jasmine, for bringing the question. Yeah. Who else has anything they want to chime in about? Ask a question, raise your hand. Jackie, did you have a thought you wanted to share? You're muted. I want to unmute you. I think you have to unmute yourself. I think you have power over yourself, not me.
There we
Yeah.
go. I'm
Yeah.
unmuted. Well, I know we're running kind of low on time, so I wanted to see if anyone else had one last question or comment or anything from the group. I'm kind of scanning here to see if anybody's raising their hand. Okay.
Yes, Susan.
Oh, Tui.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's
All right.
see here.
Yeah, mute you.
I know I'm trying to find you in the list to unmute you, Tui. There we are.
Hey.
Hi, I'll just quickly say, I feel like a lot of us are very Zoom exhausted, very just like not willing to be social, especially as of late. And this has like really brought out like, so like community, right? Like Jackie, I'm so proud of you. And just like the whole entire program, the education team, and Brian, you are just such a light. You have such wonderful energy. And I think a lot of us event professionals are so uncertain, and our mindsets, it's tough to keep that positive. And the vulnerability that everyone's sharing, and just the laughs and just the encouragement, exactly what at least I needed today. So I just want to say thank you before we like go on to whatever is next. This group is just so wonderful. Like we are just right now just a bunch of like human beings in this moment, being present, like Brian was saying, versus like human doing. You know, we're just it's such an incredible feeling. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Tui, for saying that. I really appreciate that. I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Jackie, but that was.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody today for coming, for being vulnerable, for talking honestly. Just like Tui said, this is definitely what I needed. You know, maybe I'll even find some inspiration to finally go reupholster this chair I've been dragging around for 15 years. But it is. There are no shoulds. There are no shoulds.
But if you do it, please share it so we can all celebrate it with you.
Absolutely. Brian, do you have any last words for us?
Yeah, I have a million last words here. I wish we could be here. I want to thank you again. Like I said before, you have a lot of choices of where to be during this time, even though it feels like you don't, you actually do. And Tui, you tapped into something that I want to share that around Zoom exhaustion, just to kind of offer a little tip. I have a lot of my clients will move their computer to a place where they're a different room where they never do work, to get them to engage with the computer differently. So like they'll suddenly be in their kitchen, or they'll put it on their mantle, or they'll be someplace where they're standing, just to kind of give yourself physically a different way to relate to the screen so you're not exhausted by it, is one little tiny trick. But I also think that, Tui, what you said is like being shoulder to shoulder right now and feeling that we are in this together is something that doesn't have to be an event like this for you to create. I'm so grateful to Jackie for creating it for you, but being able to stay in touch with each other and just give each other that shout, and deciding the one thing that they say is will get you out of your own shit, I'm going to say a bad word, is to be of service to someone else. So the moment you tapped into, hey, how can I help you today? Or what can I help take off your shoulders? Or what's on your mind that I can just listen to, is a place for you to know that it will get you out of your own stuff when you get really stuck there. And to give yourself the giant, most hugest billboard in the world, the 1,000 balloons that fall from the sky. I'm trying to think of really good event things, you guys. A million fireworks that just say, you have permission. That's what this event wants to be today. It just says you have permission. Fill in the blank. So thank you so much for having me today, Jackie. I feel such a gift.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. Seriously, this has been incredible. I'm feeling more inspired. I'm feeling more connected to all of you. So I really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for tuning in and asking questions. Before we go, we just hosted, as I think most of you know, a really fun tabletop design challenge where we asked people to submit photos of tabletops that they designed from things that they already had in their house. We had some really amazing entries. But between your votes, we do have a runner-up and a winner. So our runner-up, who will be winning a meal for 4 from Someone's in the Kitchen, is Nina Din with her peacock theme table. So I don't know if you all saw that, but I thought that was pretty incredible. So we'll give Nina a round of applause. And I don't know that she's on here today, so I'll be reaching out to her afterwards. And then our grand winner is Taryn Wilson with Plan A Events for her Moroccan magic themed table, which was also so incredible. And she'll be winning a meal for 4 from Good Gracious. So we're just continuing to try to do what we can to connect with all of you, to help you feel inspired, to help out with things like meals right now when everything's a little bit tough, especially financially. So we wanted to host that, and we had a lot of fun with it. So if you haven't already seen the finalists, they are up on our Instagram page at ILEA Los Angeles. So definitely go check them out. So, follow us, and you'll be the first to hear about more events like these coming up. And then finally, I know Brian had an offer for our group. So if you want to text Love Money to 44222, I'm going to put that in here. Text Love Money to 44222. Let me send this to everybody. He will give you some awesome free financial planning advice. So
it's actually a little tool you can use.
Yeah,
Hopefully
that's
it'll be
awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for all of you. We will be doing another event in June, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you.